Mara Wells sits in her dim apartment, the glow of her laptop screen reflecting in her eyes like a ghost she doesn't recognize. Her inbox pings, Ethan Hale, his message short, polite, confident. "You seem like someone who appreciates quiet places." She smiles, typing back before doubt can intervene. Later, she stands before her mirror, smoothing her hair, whispering the name she's only read on a screen. The city hum fades as his car pulls up, headlights slicing through drizzle. He's taller than she imagined, his voice soft, deliberate. Every word measured. "Let's meet somewhere quiet," he says, and she laughs, nervous but flattered. The rain turns to mist as they drive, the world thinning with each passing mile, and Mara's reflection in the window becomes less her, and more the girl she used to be before she stopped trusting her instincts. The hum of the engine becomes the only sound between them. Mara tries to start small talk, work, movies, weather, but Ethan's replies are minimal, polite, punctuated by long pauses that stretch too far. The GPS signal cuts out. Her phone flickers and dies. Outside, the streetlights vanish, replaced by a wall of dark pines. "How far is this place?" she asks. "Not far," he says, a faint smile curving his lips. The woods swallow the road. Headlights sweep across endless black trunks, and Mara's fingers tighten around her purse strap. She tells herself it's fine, he's just reserved. But the silence feels rehearsed, like he's listening for something beyond her voice. A narrow dirt road appears where asphalt ends. Ethan slows, his eyes scanning the dark. "Almost there," he murmurs. The tires crunch over gravel, the headlights catching branches that look like skeletal hands reaching down. Mara forces a laugh. "You really weren't kidding about quiet." He doesn't respond. The forest deepens, the world behind them gone. Her heart keeps count of each passing minute, each curve of the road without signposts. A faded wooden sign flashes by. "Cedar Hollow Private Property." Ethan turns the wheel without hesitation. The sound of rain vanishes. Even the wipers seem to move slower here. They stop at a clearing. The air feels heavy, like the forest is holding its breath. Ethan steps out first, his movements too calm, too deliberate. Mara hesitates before following, her shoes sinking slightly into the wet soil. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he says, looking up into the canopy. The trees sway gently, though the air is still. She nods, her voice small, uncertain. A single lamp flickers from the trunk of a parked camper nearby, its door ajar, its windows dark. "You camp here?" she asks, but Ethan's answer is swallowed by a gust that smells like rust and pine. The quiet stretches until she realizes there are no birds, no crickets, no wind. Just them. Mara turns toward the car, intending to grab her phone. But Ethan's voice stops her, calm, low, almost tender. "No signal out here. Don't bother." He steps closer, eyes reflecting the lantern's dying light. "I thought you'd like it. No noise, no distractions." For a moment, she feels something shift. The air thickening, the ground beneath her uncertain. "Maybe we should head back," she says softly. His smile does. "Why? You haven't even seen the best part yet." He gestures toward the tree line, where a faint path cuts into the dark. Somewhere deep within, something moves, slow, wet, deliberate. Mara's breath catches. The woods, finally, are no longer silent. The night deepens as Mara follows Ethan down the narrow path, her phone light trembling in her hand. The ground squelches with each step, the forest pressing close on all sides. "You'll like this spot," he says, voice faint ahead of her. "It's perfect for clearing your mind." His words echo strangely, swallowed by the trees. Mara stops when she sees something, a wooden post half buried in the dirt, carved with initials and dates. Too many of them. Who were they? She asks, but Ethan doesn't answer. The silence after her question feels wrong. Thick. As though the forest itself is listening. When he finally turns to face her, his smile is gone. Mara's voice shakes as she insists they go back. Ethan steps closer, the beam of her phone cutting across his face. The smile replaced by something colder, analytical. "You're scared," he says softly, almost with admiration. "That's good. Fear means you're paying attention." Her breath catches. He moves as though to reach for her, but stops, his eyes flicking towards something behind her. She turns. Nothing but darkness and branches, yet she swears she hears movement. Footsteps not belonging to either of them. When she looks back, Ethan's gone. The woods have swallowed him. Mara spins in slow circles, whispering his name, her breath clouding the air. Each sound she makes seems to wake something older in the trees. A faint creak, wood bending, then silence. She steps backward, her shoe crunching over something soft. A scarf, half buried in the dirt. Red. Torn. Not hers. Her heart races. She stumbles, flashlight slipping from her hand, the beam rolling until it lands on a shape at the base of a tree. A shoe. Small. Feminine. Decayed. She doesn't scream. She can't. The forest has stolen even that from her. A whisper. Soft. Deliberate. Echoes through the dark. Mara. It's Ethan's voice. But it's coming from the wrong direction. She runs, branches clawing at her arms, breath breaking in sharp bursts. Every few steps she hears it again. Her name, closer, mocking. Don't run. You'll only get lost. The flashlight dies, plunging her into pure black. She trips, hitting the ground hard, her palms sinking into mud. When she lifts them, she feels the cold bite of metal. A chain, half buried. It leads deeper into the forest, toward the sound of whispering water. She follows the chain until she reaches a clearing she doesn't remember. A wide pit surrounded by stones, half filled with black water reflecting the moon. Ethan stands on the far edge, still, calm, hands in his pockets. "This is where it ends," he says softly. "All that noise in your head, it stops here." She backs away, shaking her head, but her heel slips on wet stone. His smile returns, faint and patient. "It's quieter when you stop fighting." A sound rises from the pit, low, almost human. And Mara realizes too late that she's not alone with him. Mara stands frozen, eyes locked on the water's surface, as ripples distort, faint shapes below. Faces, pale and hollow, like echoes of the women whose names she'll never know. Ethan steps closer, his calm unbroken, his voice almost a whisper. "They all came here. Just like you. Looking for quiet." Mara's body trembles as she takes a step back, mud sucking at her shoes. "You killed them," she says. Ethan's gaze doesn't waver. "No. I gave them peace." The forest hums low, a sound too deep to belong to wind. Mara runs, but the trees seem to twist around her, closing the way back. Branches whip her arms as she pushes through, lungs burning, the forest turning into an endless loop of paths. Behind her, Ethan's footsteps stay steady, unhurried, as though he knows she has nowhere to go. Her mind flashes images of the scarf, the shoe, the chain. Each one code Ben-Hur. A flicker of light appears between the trees, a lantern, faint but real. She stumbles toward it, tripping into a small clearing where an old campsite waits. Torn tents, rusted cooking pots, and a pile of bones that gleam like ivory beneath the lantern's glow. The air is heavy with decay, but also whispering. Not words, breaths. Her trembling hands lift the lantern, its glass cracked but still burning. She turns and sees movement. A woman's silhouette, pale and thin, standing just beyond the light's reach. "Hello?" Mara whispers. The figure tilts its head, steps closer, and the face catches the light. Hollow eyes, lips stitched with twine. Mara gasps, stumbling backward, the lantern swinging wildly. The woman doesn't move further. She just raises one shaking hand and points toward the direction Mara came from, toward Ethan. The lantern's flame sputters. In the instant before it dies, the woman vanishes. Only the whisper remains. "Run!" Mara runs again. Heart hammering, guided by nothing but instinct. The trees blur until she bursts into another clearing, smaller, enclosed, the moon barely visible. She collapses against a fallen log, gasping, when a sound slices through the quiet, a faint melody. It's Ethan, humming, the same tune that played in his car, soft and deliberate. "You can't hide here," he calls out, his tone patient, almost kind. "The woods don't like liars." She presses a hand to her mouth, stifling sobs. The shadows stretch longer, her name slipping between them. She looks down, muddy footprints leading straight to her hiding spot. Ethan's light lands on her face, and the chase ends. He steps forward slowly, voice calm, eyes shining with something near pity. "I told you, Mara. Quiet places help you see who you really are." She grips a broken branch beside her, her breath sharp. "I know who I am," she says. For the first time, her voice doesn't shake. As he reaches for her, she swings. The branch splinters against his temple. He staggers, blood tracing his jaw. She runs again, this time not to escape, but toward the one thing he fears, the water. The pit hums, louder. Now, alive, waiting, Mara runs through the forest, lungs tearing for air, the earth slick with rain and rot. Behind her, Ethan's footsteps return, slower now, dragging, but relentless. "Mara!" he calls, voice echoing off the trunks. "You can't leave!" "You belong here now." She doesn't answer. The pit's dark water glimmers faintly ahead, a cruel reminder of what waits. Branches claw her hair, scrape her arms, and still she runs. Each breath burns like fire, each heartbeat louder than the storm building overhead. Thunder rolls, lightning flashes. For a split second, she sees Ethan's face between the trees, pale, furious, and grinning. She slips, tumbling down an embankment, mud swallowing her hands and knees. The world spins, branches slicing at her arms. When she lands, she realizes where she is, back at the campsite. Only now the tents are gone, replaced by shallow depressions in the soil. Graves. Ethan's shadow appears above her on the ridge, flashlight cutting across her body like a spotlight. "They fought too," he says, descending carefully, like a teacher approaching a trembling student. But the forest doesn't let go. It keeps what it's owed. Mara crawls backward, hand landing on something sharp. A rusted knife, its handle half buried. She grips the knife, her fingers slick with rain and blood, eyes locked on Ethan as he steps closer. "Don't," she whispers, her voice raw. He stops, almost curious. "You think I want to hurt you?" he asks softly. "I want to help you let go." His voice cracks like something breaking underneath. For a moment, he looks human, lost. Then the ground shifts. Roots slither from the earth, coiling around Mara's ankles. She screams, hacking wildly, cutting herself free as lightning splits a tree nearby. Ethan doesn't move. His face is lit white, eyes wide, whispering to the trees as if they answer. The forest roars. Branches thrash as if alive. Wind tearing through the clearing. Mara breaks free, stumbling toward the pit once more. The chain she found earlier glimmers under the rain, leading her like a path. Behind her, Ethan's voice changes, not calling her name anymore, but whispering low prayers, rhythmic and wrong. She reaches the water's edge, knife trembling in her grip. The pit bubbles, dark and deep. "If you take me," she gasps to the forest, "take him too." The earth answers with a low groan. Ethan appears behind her, face contorted, his calm gone. He lunges. The knife flashes. They crash into the mud together, slipping, struggling, his hands around her throat, hers gripping the blade. "You're mine," he snarls. "You were always mine." She stabs blindly, once, twice, until his weight collapses against her. Blood seeps into the rainwater, running in thin, crimson trails toward the pit. Ethan's eyes flutter, his mouth forming silent words as his body begins to sink, pulled slowly by the sucking mud. Mara scrambles back, sobbing, as his face disappears beneath the surface. The forest quiets again, too quiet. Then, from the pit, a ripple. Something else moves beneath. The forest is silent. Rain fades to mist. Mara kneels in the mud, her body trembling, Ethan's voice still echoing inside her skull like static that won't fade. She drags herself toward the car, every step an act of will. Dawn creeps pale and gray through the canopy, revealing the devastation. The pit now calm, the graves washed clean, and the woods pretending nothing ever happened. She collapses near the road, blood mixing with rainwater as headlights approach. Tires screech. A woman's voice yells her name. Not Ethan's voice, not a dream. Detective Lorna Pike kneels beside her, flashlight trembling. "It's okay," she says softly. "We found you." But Mara, shaking violently, whispers back, "You didn't find him." In the sterile glow of the hospital room, Mara lies motionless, hooked to IVs in silence. Detective Pike sits nearby, reading over a thin case file, one that looks far too familiar. She glances up, watching Mara's chest rise and fall. "You're the fourth," she murmurs. The rain outside taps softly against the glass, a rhythm Mara now recognizes as footsteps. "He's dead," Pike adds. But even she doesn't sound convinced. Mara's eyes flicker open. "The woods took him," she whispers, voice hoarse. "Not dead." Waiting. Pike stares at her for a long moment, then looks down at the photographs. Other women. Same woods, same faces frozen mid-fear. Back at the crime scene, officers comb through the clearing, now eerily ordinary in daylight. No pit, no graves, no trace of Ethan's body. Just soaked earth and tire marks vanishing into moss. Pike stands at the center, scanning the tree line, her breath fogging in the cold morning air. Something catches her eye, a small object half buried in the mud. She kneels, pulling it free. A locket. Inside, a photograph of a young woman, smiling, the same initials carved into the trees. Pike closes it slowly, her expression unreadable. The sound of the forest returns. Bird song, leaves rustling, as if mocking her disbelief. That night, Pike reviews old case files in her office. Women missing, cars abandoned, patterns that never quite aligned. But as she lays the maps side by side, the lines converge. All disappearances spiral toward the same coordinates. Cedar Hollow. Her pen stops. Rain lashes against her window. Wind howling like the forest itself, breathing outside her walls. She dials her recorder. Detective Pike. Case follow-up. Subject: Ethan Hale. Body unrecovered. A pause. Subject's residence empty, utilities paid. One recurring note in every file. All victims were told to meet somewhere quiet. Morning breaks gray and lifeless as Pike drives toward the edge of Cedar Hollow. where the forest meets the road. The car radio hums static, then clears. Faintly, through the noise, a man's voice. "Let's meet somewhere quiet." She slams the brakes, staring into the tree line. The words repeat, slower this time, deliberate. The trees sway though the air is still. Her phone buzzes, Mara's name on the screen. She answers, voice shaking. "Mara." Silence. Then, faint breathing. A whisper, not Mara's. Pike looks toward the woods, and the quiet rushes in. Weeks pass. Mara's body heals, but her mind doesn't. The hospital releases her to an empty apartment where silence now feels hostile. The television flickers without sound. She keeps every light on. At night, she hears things. Footsteps in the hallway. The soft hum of Ethan's tune beneath her breath. She stands by the window, staring at her reflection until it shifts, her eyes darker, unfamiliar. A knock at the door shatters the stillness. She opens it to find no one, only a small object on the floor. The same locket Detective Pike found, cleaned, polished, gleaming like new. Inside, her photo. Detective Pike visits Mara days later, her face drawn, sleepless. She sets down photos from the woods. Nothing but empty ground. "They're gone," she says flatly. "Every sign, every trace." Mara doesn't respond. Pike studies her uneasy. "You said he's waiting." "Where?" Mara looks past her. Toward the window, toward the tree line, barely visible beyond the city lights. "He doesn't need to wait," she whispers. "He's already here." Pike turns sharply. A shadow passes across the glass, too tall to belong to any passerby. By the time she looks back, Mara is smiling faintly, as if remembering something private. That night, Mara dreams of the woods again. The air thick, the soil warm beneath her bare feet. Ethan stands in the clearing, not bleeding, not broken, his voice gentle, coaxing. "You tried to run," he says, stepping closer. "But you can't run from quiet. It finds you." The trees shift around her, closing the space until their bark brushes her skin. Mara wakes screaming, tangled in sweat-soaked sheets, the smell of pine heavy in her room. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text glows on the screen. "You left something behind." The sender, unknown. Detective Pike wakes to a call from dispatch. Another missing woman. Same woods, same trail. She sits up, hand shaking, staring at the map pinned above her bed. A red circle marks Cedar Hollow. Her phone rings again. Mara's number, but when she answers, only static greets her, broken by faint humming. The same melody. Pike drives toward the woods before dawn, headlights cutting through fog. The road feels longer this time, as if the forest stretches itself, hungry for her arrival. On the passenger seat, the locket she'd once bagged as evidence lies open, empty. Mara follows the same instinct Pike does, drawn back to where it began. She walks barefoot through the wet grass, the horizon pale with early morning light. The forest no longer feels menacing. It feels inevitable. She finds the clearing easily, though it should have been lost to time. The pit is there again, calm, reflecting her face perfectly. "I'm not afraid," she whispers. A shape forms behind her reflection. Ethan smiling faintly, his voice threading through the air. "Then come home." The water ripples, and Mara steps forward, the sound of the forest fading until only silence remains. Days later, Detective Lorna Pike stands at the tree line of Cedar Hollow, police tape fluttering behind her. Mara's footprints end at the pit, but there's no body, only still water reflecting the gray morning sky. Pike crouches, dipping her hand into the surface. It's colder than she expects, sharp like glass. A whisper curls through the trees, her own name spoken softly, almost fondly. She stands abruptly, scanning the woods. "Mara?" No response, only the faint sound of humming, the same tune that's haunted every case file she's ever opened. She closes her eyes, the echo burrowing into her mind. Night falls over the station. Pike sits alone in the evidence room, the hum of fluorescent lights mixing with the storm outside. She replays the recording from her last visit to Cedar Hollow, static, rain, her own breathing. Then, a second voice, faint, male, clear enough to freeze her. "Let's meet somewhere quiet." She leans forward, pulse pounding. "Ethan," she whispers. The static sharpens, rising in pitch until it sounds almost like laughter. Papers flutter off the desk as the lights flicker, plunging the room into half-darkness. The hum continues, now from behind her. The power cuts completely. Pike grabs her flashlight, its beam trembling across the walls. Footsteps echo, not hers. The door creaks open, though she locked it minutes ago. "Who's there?" she calls out. The light catches something at the far end of the room, muddy footprints leading toward her desk. She follows them with slow, careful steps until they stop at the recorder. It clicks on by itself. A woman's voice plays. "Morris. He's not gone. He's everywhere. It's quiet." Pike's hand shakes as she turns toward the sound of water dripping, though there's no leak, no rain inside. By dawn, Pike returns to Cedar Hollow, drawn by something she can't rationalize. The forest greets her with stillness so thick it hurts to breathe. She follows the old trail, the path already wet with morning dew. Her flashlight cuts across trees marked with new carvings. Initials, hers among them. At the clearing, the pit waits, smooth as glass. She kneels, whispering, "Where are you?" The reflection ripples, revealing Mara standing beside Ethan in perfect calm. They're smiling. Pike reaches forward, fingertips brushing the water's surface. The reflection reaches back. The next day, Cedar Hollow is empty again. Only the whisper of leaves and the hum of flies above damp soil. Pike's car sits abandoned at the roadside, driver's door ajar, headlights still faintly glowing. Down in the clearing, the pit has vanished, replaced by unbroken earth and silence so complete it feels alive. Somewhere beneath, faint humming drifts upward. The same tune, soft and patient. The camera lingers on the trees as the sound fades. A voice neither Mara's nor Pike's breaks the quiet one last time. "Let's meet somewhere quiet." Fade to black.